Hi, Pavol. Thank you very much for your time.
Hi, Michelle. Thank you.
Well, I'd like first thank you, Crayonic, to take the time to talk with me for that article. Since last time we've been able to exchange, there was a lot of questions I'd like just to put during our conversation. Maybe first of all, for the people who's never heard about Crayonic, can you just tell us how Crayonic got started?
Sure. Well, Crayonic was founded by Peter Kolarov in 2015. And Peter was joined by two co-founders, Mr. Michal Varchola, and he's actually a cryptography hardware expert, and Professor Kachur, who is a researcher focusing on embedded machine learning and biometrics. So since the beginning, the main motto of or the vision of Crayonic was secure digital identity. And then that was basically materialized into the first product that was Crayonic pen and paper. That was a solution primarily focusing on signing documents with biometric and digital signature. And then later we pivoted towards more towards the multi-factor authentication, relying on decentralized biometrics and also some blockchain use cases, where the Crayonic KeyVault can also be instrumental.
That was precisely really interesting because I received the KeyVault. I'm trying to play with that. There is a lot of different things outside who are competing with us. So how do you compete with the security vendors? What is the position of the KeyVault today?
Okay, well, we believe that our strength is in the deep technical expertise and the rich experience, and also the manufacturing capabilities of Crayonic. We do both hardware and software, and our R&D and production takes place in the European Union. We believe that in the context of today's challenges in the field of cybersecurity, these are some pretty important details. And so our focus is on the enterprise solutions and the most sensitive use cases where the security, privacy, and usability are the most important. With regards to the KeyVault itself, well, KeyVault securely stores credentials, certificates, and even legacy passwords. So it can serve as a secure mass storage and also as a physical access key. And all of these together seem to be very compelling. Some of our customers and partners say that the KeyVault is the one key to rule them all. We kind of like that reference to to the well-known movie. And so this versatility and the large array of use cases that our product can offer for any size of organizations, small or big, and in any verticals, that's what we believe differentiates us. Now, we are really designing the product having the user in mind and the administrator in mind, because we understand that it's one thing to have it, beautiful, easy to use for the user, but it's another story to look at it from the back end, to be able to manage it and to have also this this administrator experience well done. So the manageability and also the recoverability of the KeyVault by the administrator is actually by the admin or the user themselves in certain cases. That's the case for the enterprise deployment.
What has been really interesting, by the way, because I've been using that device with other recordings I've made, by the way, also presenting a little bit the KeyVault. What really was interesting is the fact you are grouping different kind of technology. So you have the fingerprint, we have the NFC, you have the e-signing, which are also present inside that. We saw in most of the presentations from Crayonic, there is a lot of improvement that has been in one single device, what is quite impressive comparing to the competitors. What I will ask, probably you've mentioned, is the fact you could have standalone user, a single user that could take the privacy or the identity, the identity management seriously. So there was also that kind of integration you've mentioned with the password manager, which could be used. So you have the possibility to integrate that with products like Bitwarden. Can you talk a little bit more about the fact we can have such integrations, the possibility of integrations that KeyVault can bring here?
Sure. Well, the idea that that is driving us behind having all these use cases is the fact that we want to make sure that the deployment is as easy as possible, and it's also a fact that it's a matter of fact that the passwords are not going to go away anytime soon. Okay, even though they are probably the weakest, part in the whole security. The passwords are going to stay for a while. And so what we are trying to do is offer this possibility of a secure password management. That's why the integration with the Bitwarden. And also to go from there to the more secure ways and all the way to the even more convenient ways of authenticating. So U2F and also usernameless, passwordless is also the possibilities that the KeyVault provides. But the shift from the legacy ways of authenticating to the modern, more secure, more convenient ones can be done with this one solution. And that's the idea, that the step from passwords to passwordless doesn't need to be a major, a major step too difficult for the enterprises to take.
That's true, because as a user, most of the time we're still having that legacy from the user perspective to every time to have to remember the password and username. And in some cases, depending where we are working, actually with the new ways to collaborate and being working in different kind of devices, no matter if we're at home or using computers from someone else, or in the places where we are not sure 100% if the security is compelling. I guess this is really something that brings a value. Instead, what I could say also, what I've been really impressed by the quality of the building of the device, that piece of metal with that display integrated. It's really cool. It looks elegant. This is something I've heard most of the time when I'm just showing the unit you've sent to me. What was also really interesting is the fact, as you mentioned, there is two dimensions about that. There is the end user perspective, but there is also an enterprise approach that Crayonic is bringing here. And I saw something about the gateways, the security gateway, where you are providing here a solution for these companies who need to centralize that. Can you tell us a little bit about the gateway?
Sure. Well, the gateway is precisely what we're trying. This is the component, the backend component by which we are aiming at the enterprise deployments, because we understand, as I was saying before, the administrator perspective. And so the gateway is optional, but it's extremely useful component of the solution. It is basically a single sign-on tool, which is based on the Red Hat's Keycloak. That's a robust, market-proven, fully configurable open source tool. And on this basis, the Crayonic added the KeyVault management functionalities, the backup and recovery, and also the integration plugins. So all these add to the comfort of the administrator and in the enterprise deployment, while obviously solving the number one challenge in the FIDO space, which is the recoverability of lost or damaged authenticators. Gateway does provide this, and we believe that this is, and by the way, this is also possible to do in several different flavors. The recoverability, because it can either be, the FIDO keys can either be backed on the gateway, or multiple gateways, or even on multiple user key vaults, using the principle of Shamir shared secret, or the multi-party computing scheme. So this is something that provides maximum security an acceptable level of usability or comfort. We sometimes compare the complexity of renewing a lost key vault to the process that a person needs to take if they lose both keys to their car. It's not impossible, but it's not, it's not a one-click option. You normally need to authenticate. Usually in the enterprise deployment, we imagine that it will be somehow connected to the KYC process, but the complexity of the process of the recoverability really depends on how the enterprise sets it up. For the individual users or small businesses, the setup can be much less complex, and maybe also there will be a mobile application that will support this. On the other hand, for the enterprise deployment, that's probably more complex and depends on the sensitivity of the business. So these are some of the features of the gateway. As I said, the manageability, the key recovery, and also the possibility to configure the key vault and set policies that will restrict the way how the key vault is used or enforce certain, for example, certain authentication factors.
May I ask you? So the gateway could be used in two ways. So you could host that in your own infrastructure if you have so, but could be also a service we could register on Crayonic, right?
Yeah, that's the vision. We are currently enabling or offering the possibility to have the gateway installed on premise, which is what we expect most enterprises will take advantage of, and that's perfectly fine. As I said, it's an open source, very transparent tool. And for the small businesses, we are offering also the possibility to host it in the cloud and offer the functionalities that the SMBs will appreciate and will benefit from. A lot of what I'm talking about is still sort of in production, and some of these stuff are sort of a vision or a roadmap, let's call it, and some will be sort of demand driven. We are trying to keep a lot of the possibilities open, but I guess from what we have already achieved and what you are able to test and what we are able to demonstrate, you already get the idea of what we can do and directions where we can move.
Well, I have a last question, and without asking you to keep something secret outside, but what are the next big improvements? What are the next challenges we could expect coming from Crayonic and with KeyVault? What are the things we could expect as a new feature that will come?
Well, as I said, a lot of it is on the roadmap, and the priorities on our roadmap are currently demand driven. We are launching the product nowadays, literally in these weeks, and depending on what will be the demand, we will be able to reshift some of the stuff that are on the roadmap. I think what is interesting is the possibility to sign documents. I guess that's also one of the things that we can demo. That can be further extended with some other features and making it more and more sexy. The integration with the certificate authorities and so on. That could be one direction. We're also one of the areas of use cases on the roadmap is physical access use cases. This is also quite demanded, or we hear that this would be quite interesting for many large enterprises which are using currently the badges or the smart cards to enter the buildings or spaces, and with the KeyVault and with the right compatible card readers, they could be not only using the same device for both logical access and physical access, but could also benefit from the biometrics and from the step-up authentication, even in the physical physical use cases. So, for example, entering a building may require me only to tap the KeyVault at the card reader, but entering a server room would, require me to first pre-authenticate with the fingerprint or PIN code or both, in this case, and then I would be able to enter.
The way, just for the joke, because NFC is embedded inside KeyVault, so you can activate it or deactivate it. But means today with the version I saw and I had on hand, so you can activate NFC and be detected as an NFC device. Just for your information, I've used, in fact, to have access to an NFC reader and using it to arm or unharm my security system at home. So it is already recognized from an NFC reader. So that's really interesting from that point, because that brings to most of the users a main advantage for physical access. Of course, you need to have the right devices in front to do the reading, to have the software recognition that could be able to say, okay, this is an NFC device that could be presented to allow access or arm or unarm some of the kind of alarm systems like I've tried. And that's really amazing, because I see here we just starting to have the flavor of the future about what should be the next way to do authentication, to give access and securize our identities in the different devices. And this is really impressive for how Crayonic is offering that to customers. Well, I'd like to thank you, Pavol, for that introduction. Thank you very much for your time. Well, I hope we will have occasion to talk again. Thank you.
Thank you, Michel. Talk to you later.
Bye. Thank you.